Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing per se. Why are we discussing per se? Well, as I said in another video regarding the proposed end of the mask mandate, I was going to make kind of a companion video. This one is a little bit more of, shall we say, an opinion piece, my opinion specifically. But yeah, there's certain things that not only boggle my mind, but make me want to pull my hair out. And when I was reading the upcoming, what I'm going to quote here, it did both. So, quoting directly from ASEAN Now, that's ASEANnow.com, this is an article titled, Thai Ministry of Public Health to propose ending mask mandates by mid-June. And as we discussed in another video on this topic, yes, that does look like what they're going to do. As folks that have watched this channel with any frequency over the past year or so will probably be aware, I've done pretty substantial analysis into the Communicable Diseases Act here in Thailand, and I've been keeping up with this topic very, I hope, rigorously and diligently, just sort of staying on top of it. The Minister of Public Health himself has said there's no laws undergirding this so-called mandate, which then begs the question, so what is it? But let's quote directly from this article again, Thai Ministry of Public Health to propose ending mask mandates by mid-June. That's ASEAN Now, ASEANnow.com. Quoting, currently there is a mask mandate in every province in Thailand in all public areas, including outdoors or even riding a motorbike alone. This isn't a law per se, but it is an enforceable legal mandate under the current emergency decree that was just extended until the end of July. Let me read that again, okay? This isn't a law per se, but it is an enforceable legal mandate under the current emergency decree that was just extended until the end of July. Yeah, no, it's not. I've read the Communicable Diseases Act, and I've read the regulatory provisions springing therefrom, and I just don't think this statement is correct. And, I've tried to stay kind of mellow about this. I'm not particularly angry at anyone, but I will say one thing that has really bothered me watching this is the media and how they discuss this. Okay, first of all, I remember being in law school. I was taking conflicts of law. I had a really good professor for that. He was the dean for a while, and then he just wanted to be the professor. He was really very brilliant legal scholar, and conflicts of law was very, it gets almost to the level of legal esoteria. When you're getting into conflicts of law, it can become very esoteric. I mean, there's no other real word for it. It's very conceptual, even though you're dealing with legal notions that can be very concrete. It can be very conceptual, and sort of parsing things out can be difficult. But I have to say, I'll never forget being in that course, and I can't remember exactly what we were talking about, but some Latin phrase popped up in the middle of this really complex brief we were reviewing, and I'll never forget him saying, hey, when they pull out the Latin, your red flag should go up, your warning bells should go off, because when they're pulling out the Latin, it's because there's some stuff that doesn't make a lot of sense. It just seems to be the case. And again, I know this isn't a legal tract, but this statement, I can't even hardly wrap my head around it. This isn't a law per se, okay? So it's not a law, but it's an enforceable legal mandate. Why? Why is that being stated? What legal basis is that statement resting upon? We've done the analysis of the Communicable Diseases Act. I can't find anything in there. As we've stated before, there seems to be certain things that can be prohibited, but a mask mandate is not a prohibition. It's a coercion. We're not talking about the same thing. It's not apples and apples when we're talking about the Communicable Disease Act. And this has been backed up by the Public Health Minister himself, who said there is no law undergirding this. And in a civil law jurisdiction such as Thailand, it is my understanding, admittedly, as something of a legal outsider, although someone who's studied Thai law for a prolonged period of time, especially in a comparative capacity, comparing it to sort of the common law and the way that we do things in the common law system. But one of the main foundations, one of the foundational concepts of the civil law is that if something is not specifically codified in law, then it's nothing. That's how the civil law works. And because in a civil law country, in both a civil and a common law country, maintaining the people's freedoms is one of the reasons the law exists. And so in a civil law system, one of the mechanisms for doing that is the concept that if it's not clearly written out, then it's legal, sort of de facto, as we would say, and here I am pulling out the Latin, but de facto, by default, as we would say in sort of a common law sort of analysis. So where I'm coming from here is, I just am pretty tired of this being sort of operating this color of law where they're saying, well, it's not a law per se, but it's an enforceable mandate. Well, why do you say that? I've seen no legal basis for stating that, especially when you consider that these prohibitions, these coercions, would have to spring from duly drafted law in order to be enforceable. So again, my frustration, I think, at this point is more with the media than any other place, because it's just a nonsensical statement. I'll read it one more time. This isn't a law per se, but it is an enforceable legal mandate under the current emergency decree that was just extended until the end of July. As we discussed, I believe, last year back in April at length, and it was like I did a half-hour video going through this line by line. Based on that analysis, I'm sorry to say this is just simply a nonsensical statement.